This is Rachel Dworkin from the Chemung County Historical Society, recording for the COVID Memory Project. Today is March 18th, 2022, and I am here interviewing
Jharmi Leach.
All right, thank you very much. We recently acquired one of your pieces that you painted. Can you tell us a little bit about that piece, how it came to be, and what you were going for with it?
The piece that I made was a 7-foot kite that I've never did before, and I didn't really know what I was doing at first. I kind of just wanted to make skies, galaxy, stars, something real pretty. And then with all my art, I usually make black art, so I had to put that in there somehow. And I'm very into homes and equity for black people in the community. So I wanted to put something in there that kind of showed a legacy of black people that they've had, they deserve, and they could have. So, and then I put the little girl on there to show that, there is, a home and equity and generational wealth through this in the future. And it's something that we've held in the past, we've held currently, and we can hold in the future. And it will help, a lot of people in the black community.
Okay, thank you very much. So you painted this for a specific thing, right? Was it for an art show?
Yeah, so there was a big art, I think it might have been a festival or showing at in Corning at the ice rink. I can't really remember what the name was, but there was a bunch of them. There was a lot of artists that got together. They all did like 7-foot kites, and I did my piece and just gave it to them, because I don't really have space for a 7-foot kite anywhere right now.
So were you recruited for that, or was that something that the artistic community wanted to do, or how did that work?
I believe I was recruited. I'm not sure how the process really works. I just know that in the art community, a lot of people that are very interactive in the art community with outreach and just art. They try to reach out to other artists, especially during this time when there's not a lot of black artists out there doing art that I am. So they reach out to all the artists that they feel might want to be involved in the next project, that could help in more outreach and more artists come along.
So you said you do black art. How long have you been doing that? What kind of art do you normally do? You don't usually work in canvas kites, so
right.
What kind of mediums do you usually work in?
I actually don't have one strict medium. I've been doing art like my whole life, but I haven't always been able to share it, until about 4 years ago, and now I'm sharing it on a bigger level now that I know there's a bigger community out there that actually wants to see art. And all my art hasn't always been black until recently, because I kind of just drew not really figures as much. It was more so just like animals and sketches and stuff as I started out, with a pencil and pad. But after a while, I started just putting things in my hand, paint, colored pencils, chalk, you name it, and I would just go whatever they put in my hand. Just recently, I did a fusion art collective with Community Arts at Elmira, which was all fused glass, and that's not something I've ever touched before until now. So I kind of don't really have a specific medium. I'm just here to art.
That's very cool. So is that something that you make a living off of, or is that how does that work?
So I don't really make a living off of it. If I could, I would, but then you'd have to keep up with the demand for your art and things like that. And right now, I can't do that being a sheet metal worker. But I do it, as much as I don't really look to get paid, because I just want my art to touch people, to make them think, be subjective. I don't think it's wrong to get paid off your artwork. So, every now and then a grant will come in and you can get paid off of things, such as kites or murals and stuff like that. So, but I don't really make like a living off of it, but money does help.
Okay. So you're a sheet worker. Or sheet metal worker rather, sorry.
It's okay.
Where do you work?
I work at Southern Tier Custom Fab in Elmira, but my union is 112 Sheet Metal Workers, and we're a big union, and we got a lot of brothers.
Okay, so how did the pandemic and the shutdown back in 2020 affect your work and your union?
When everything got shut down, at every organization, a lot of businesses, a lot of people either couldn't keep up with work, or a lot of people got laid off, or a lot of people took unemployment, because safety protocols, hazards, cautions, and stuff. And a lot of people, took off at my job. And I decided to stay and, keep the flow going, because somebody's going to stay so we can keep a job. So I decided to stay because also, I appreciate my boss. And I don't know, I've never known a day I haven't worked. So I decided to stay, and there was a lot of people that left, but you could tell that, it had a strain on a lot of the business, trying to make sure that everybody had jobs when they came back, the flow of work and the product and providing, but, we got it done.
So, were there any policies implemented to protect workers from COVID, or was it same old, same old? How did that go?
I believe there was, the policies that kind of kept you like 6 feet apart, wearing the masks, the vaccinations, things like that, but those started to come in, in the middle and a little bit at the end of the pandemic versus the first part. They kind of wanted to give people the option, because we didn't know what was going on, to, not be around each other if you could be infected by any way. So they gave people the option to take the unemployment, because everybody would get the surplus of money from the government or the county. I really don't know where it came from, but the surplus of money you would get on unemployment. And a lot of people took that money because some people were afraid, to be around each other during that time. So, but they were able to provide for their family enough with the money that they were provided.
And did any of those folks come back? How did that go, or is it?
Yeah, no, a lot of them came back because we are a union. We're more likely to come back than not, and we always need a job. Usually, you could call the hall and we'll find a contractor that you're teamed up with that you can go to if you need a spot. You might be laid off on the bench, or you just took the COVID time off. So everybody came back in a flurry. Business started booming again. And I think a lot of people are a little hesitant to come back. Some people took their time. Some people came back sooner than they needed to. But I think that everybody that did come back got majority of their jobs back, unless business just was slow in an area, because there's certain areas of the job that it could be slow. Majority of people got their jobs back because, like I said, there's only a few people actually doing the jobs, while everybody else left. So
Okay. So how did the pandemic, do you think, impact your art?
I think that because a lot of stuff was going on, in a lot of neighborhoods, and I'm not very sure in this county or in this neighborhood, like for sure, but I know on a national level that a lot of black and brown people were affected more than a lot of other people, being in poverty, impoverished, and, being in terrible living or working conditions, and being a lot of times majority of the work that does stay, when everybody else leaves, and having to provide, and a lot of single moms, and just there's a lot of stuff that ties into it that they were the most affected. And a lot of their life expectancies were cut by a year or two. That's not an exact quote, but life expectancy was cut down because they were infected so bad, and a lot of people were infected and died because of that. So during COVID, I think that was like a really hard hit, and while everybody couldn't be around each other, and they had to be inside, and even though you're with your family, you couldn't be with all your family. So it was kind of depressing a little bit at times. So you had to find, art helped me find time to, get some of that, how I felt off when you couldn't talk to nobody, when you couldn't see anybody that you wanted to see.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other ways that COVID affected your life or your work or your family?
I happened to get COVID, and I had to be with my family for like 2 weeks. And when I came back to work, I masked up. Even I took an extended amount of time because I wanted to protect others. I didn't want to shed or get anybody else infected. And then I got RSV literally a week after that, and my kids got it, and it was hard being away from them from that amount of time. Getting COVID and RSV, and it was rough. I got tired. Didn't feel really well, but it was it was more rough being away from my family than anything else.
And whenabouts did you end up getting COVID?
It was near the end, so it's probably about 2 months ago now.
Oh, okay.
Could be a little further than that, maybe 3. But it was tough, and I was just trying to be safe.
And you feel you've recovered now?
Yeah. So when I first got it, my symptoms weren't like serious symptoms. I had like a stuffy nose, and I had an upset stomach, but that was really it. A little bit of tired, but it wasn't for like my whole duration I left. It was only for like 2-3 days, and then I felt better. Besides the stuffy nose, I had to wait for that to go away. And I mean, I don't know if it was because I was vaccinated or not, but I just felt like I just wasn't as sick as a lot of people I know that had to sit out for weeks, and they were out for months, and their doctor said they could be less likely to, because I know a lot of people that smoke a lot, so they were less likely to have the same expectancy because of how bad COVID hit them. So
you are vaccinated?
yes.
Are your children vaccinated? Are they old enough?
No. I got a 2-year-old that'll be 3 in April, and a 6-month-old.
Ah.
So one of them wasn't even born at the time. She was just in the belly. She was born, on the back end of COVID. But she, we decided not to go with that. I don't even think they're even letting 6-month-old get shots.
Oh no, I think you have to be like 5. Maybe?
Yeah. I'm not really sure, but yeah, nobody really suggested it, so we didn't go with it or anything like that. But yeah.
Okay. So how did COVID impact your partner's pregnancy?
It was pretty rough because, we were already pretty cautious, just with kids being sick around, my firstborn, and it's real easy for kids to get other kids sick. But, it affected her big time because while being pregnant, she had to worry about, her firstborn possibly getting sick and her being sick. So we were really secluded, not around almost anybody besides direct family that, we would barely even see then. We wouldn't go to Sunday dinner and things like that. So it was pretty rough, but we managed pretty well. We spent a lot of time with each other. We had no choice but to do that. So.
Okay. Do you have anything you would like to add?
I'm hoping that when this pandemic is like over, when it really settles to like not being affecting people in the way that it did and still does now, that a lot of people can learn from the experience they had from it and everything they felt from it, and even if they were secluded in that time, that they could know how to use all that emotion or anything they had built up during that time, just being away from things they were around before, because there's a lot of things that you miss when you can't actually go and grab it or do it or be a part of it. So I think a lot of people should be grateful for a lot of things that we couldn't have at the time, and yeah, that's really it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for speaking with me.
Mm-hmm.